I'm Graham Smith from Allspark Hypnotherapy, and I'm a Solution Focused Hypnotherapist. And today I'd like to talk to you about Lygometry, a term that might sound like it belongs in a physics lab or a Greek philosophy lecture, but which actually holds a surprisingly useful key to how we think, learn and solve problems. It derives from the word Lygo, meaning shadow, and metry, meaning the measurement of, so its literal meaning is shadow measurement. And this term was introduced by Amin Toofani in his TED Talk, and it means quite simply the science of measuring what we do not know. Now, I was fortunate enough to discover this TED Talk after encountering a video entitled World's Greatest Living Guitarist, a clip of a young graduate performing at his university. Now, I wasn't quite sure about the claim, but I was impressed, so I went looking for more by the same person, and the only thing I found was this TED Talk. I'll put the links to both videos in the comments section. So, back to Lygometry. The science of measuring what we do not know. Let that settle in for a second. Not what we do know, but what we don't. Now, Toofani defines intelligence not as how much we know, but how aware we are of the limits of our knowledge. In other words, the more clearly we can define the edges of what we don't know, the better we can navigate our world. And this might sound counterintuitive, but it resonates strongly with a practice I'm deeply involved in, Solution Focused Hypnotherapy. In a hypnotherapy session, we don't lecture the client or explain what we think their solution is. Instead, we ask questions. We invite the brain to explore, to fill in the gaps. And here is where it gets interesting. We help the client define what they don't know, yet but would like to. A question like, what would be different if this problem wasn't there? Or how would you notice things had changed? Or what's one small sign that things are already starting to move in the right direction? These are lygometric questions. They don't demand an immediate answer, but they invite the brain to start searching, to begin building a map around the unknown. So, where does the brain do that searching? Enter the default mode network, or DMN. This is the part of the brain that lights up when we're not actively engaged in a task. It's what activates when you're daydreaming, on autopilot, or lying in bed thinking about life. But the DMN isn't just background noise. Neuroscientific studies show that the default mode network is crucial for internal reflection, imagining the future, reprocessing emotional memories, and most importantly, creative problem solving. And this is exactly what happens in the hypnosis portion of a solution-focused hypnotherapy session. As the client enters trance, an incredibly relaxed, inward-facing state, the brain shifts gears. It quiets the analytical conscious mind and opens space for the subconscious to make new connections. And because we've already posed those questions, those lygometric questions earlier in the session, questions that pointed towards the unknown but desired outcome, the brain starts working on its own to bridge the gap, to find paths forward, to fill in what was missing. Now, why does this matter? Think about your own life. When have you ever had your best ideas, your cleverest solutions? Was it in the middle of a meeting? Or was it when you were walking the dog, in the shower, or just as you were drifting off to sleep? That's your default mode network at work. That's your subconscious mind filling in the map of what you don't know yet. When we understand that not knowing is not a failure, but an invitation, we become more creative, more curious, and more resilient. And when therapy leverages that principle by respecting the power of the question and the wisdom of the subconscious, it becomes far more effective. So, our closing thoughts. Lygometry reminds us that intelligence isn't certainty. It's awareness of uncertainty. And solution-focused hypnotherapy reminds us that solutions don't need to be pushed into place. They need space, direction, and the right environment to emerge. So next time you're stuck, whether in therapy, at work or in life, don't rush to fill in the silence. Instead, try asking a better question. Then let your brain do what it was designed to do. Thank you. See you next time on Neuroscience Now.